people underestimate the amount of effort is required when you're, especially for main digital marketing, to get results. And it's good to kind of go over some of the stuff, right?
Like, what are you paying, for SEO for? If there's no real content and proper content involved. I get smashed on TikTok for this, right? People like quote me and tease me all the time, but I don't care. I'll keep saying it. Don't pay for technical mumbo jumbo that you don't understand. It's not going to work. You're better off just saving that money. Honestly, you're better off just putting that money into AdWords. Like, you might as well. Best place to start with articles isn't trying to get them to rank, is to actually have them in the sales process. So if someone asks you about your product or service, if they ask you about the onboarding process, if they ask about something versus something, send them an article. Welcome to Inbound Buzz. My name is Moby Sadiq and I'm joined by my friend, Mr. Semi. Semi, how are you today, man?
Good, man. Good. Just enjoying the summer of Sydney right now.
There's no summer in Sydney.
I'm just saying, today's
depending on when you listen to this.
It's true, but today is pretty warm. So we're enjoying that little bit of warmth, I guess.
I'm glad you're here, Semi. So what are we talking about today? We've got our news buzz before we get into our feature topic of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest news that come out recently, one of the bigger news is Google June 2024 spam update has been done rolling out. So if you notice your rankings changing during this time, it may be related to that June 2024 update. But in saying that, I think you might have you shared that there was a auto-generated programmatic SEO is dead as a topic that you kind of mentioned, which is really interesting.
The whole thing about this, like, that's, it's interesting, great, spam up there or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you're right, Sammy. The bigger point is that auto-generated programmatic SEO is dead. It's completely dead, and you shouldn't be using these hacky techniques.
Yeah.
And the best example I can give, and I've got to give credit to Gitano Nino Donati on LinkedIn. Credit to him.
So, sorry for butchering your name.
I butchered the crap out of your name, but thank you for your content.
Apologies for that from now.
He shares this thing that happened with ZoomInfo. So, let me tell you the story with ZoomInfo.
Yeah.
Years ago, and we're talking about 2020, 2021, ZoomInfo was auto-generating landing pages, right? So they were using essentially databases to auto-generate landing pages. And what they would do is, if you know ZoomInfo, if you've ever Googled a company or a person, sometimes ZoomInfo page comes up, right? Because they're selling data and whatever. So they would actually use databases to auto-generate two types of pages. One was a company profile and one was a personal page, right? Really techie, spammy shit, right? If we're honest.
Yeah.
And why I mention this, why I love this is because every so often, clients will, this actually gave me some, I guess, reassurance, because clients will be like, oh, look, this client's doing this spammy thing that they're doing. They don't say spammy. They're like, oh, this client is, my competitor has created 100 pages with the location, the suburb, and their service.
Yeah.
And their ranking. And I want to do the same thing. And we're always like, look, I can see, and they're like, but it's working. I'm like, I can see it's working, but it's not a good strategy long term.
It's gimmicky.
And the ZoomInfo thing is a really, really good kind of case study. So with Zoom...
Yeah, so it is a big company, right? ZoomInfo is a fair bit. Data is a whole heap of stuff in there. Just kind of, it's not like your local business trying to target little bits and pieces. So it's a really good example to show how this has affected them.
Yeah,
right?
And so they're a big company. They're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on these algorithms to create these pages. And it worked. It worked for years. It worked for about 3 years. And it can be argued that even in now that it's not working, that the money that they made more than makes up for it. And I'll grant you that. I'll admit that, right? It worked for years. And then what happened was the October spam update. So Sam, you just mentioned the June update.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's all these, and Google's actually said a lot of these algorithm updates that when I sort of hear them, I'm thinking, yeah, whatever. A lot of them happen. We don't even really hear about them.
It's true.
And sometimes what happens is something happens and people find correlations and they say, oh, a June update happened, right? It actually doesn't matter. It's always being updated. But the same kind of spam update happened late last year. In about October, it kicked in and their traffic collapsed. It just fell through the ground. Yeah, it went from something crazy, the chart is crazy, the chart that I'm looking at. Went really high, then it fell off the ground. Here's the thing, right? If your competitors are doing something hacky, they might have had first mover advantage. ZoomInfo had first mover advantage. Big company, they're doing it for years. But just because they're doing it, don't go now chasing them, because if anything, you might trigger and flag and let Google know and kind of kill yourself too. So it's probably not going to work for you. You need to do something better. use really good content. SEO it's dead and it's not dead at the same time. It's dead if you're trying to find hacks and algorithms and auto-generated stuff, right? It's not and I've said this and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. You don't pay for it. You don't pay for SEO. You don't go to the customer to buy customers. There's no customer shop.
Yeah.
You do the work and then SEO becomes a byproduct.
I think the moral of the story is everything keeps changing, right? They just keep evolving, keep changing. So like do the thing right way rather than trying to find these gimmicks.
That's right.
Let's move into featured buzz, right? So I was actually very interested about this topic because people underestimate the amount of effort is required when especially for main digital marketing to get results. And it's good to kind of go over some of the stuff, right? First is the SEO. We just mentioned that it's very gimmicky, but time to get results for an SEO, it takes over a year. Like in reality, you can't just do SEO and turn it on and just your leads start flowing through the door. So some of the key considerations that people should be looking for, requires a lot of effort. So it requires a lot of content. Don't pay for an SEO agency.
Yeah.
Don't we provide SEO?
Don't pay for it. Yeah, we do provide SEO, but we do it with content. Like SEO is the byproduct.
Okay.
We create content for clients. So that's one of the key considerations, right? So I have to put SEO in there because people are going to ask.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will take about a year, but don't pay someone $2,000-3,000 to do some
basic SEO stuff.
Like I get smashed on TikTok for this, right? People like quote me and tease me all the time, but I don't care. I'll keep saying it. Don't pay for technical mumbo jumbo that you don't understand. It's not going to work. You're better off just saving that money. Honestly, you're better off just putting that money into AdWords. Like you might as well. Like what are you paying, for SEO for if there's no real content and proper content involved? And look, I do say this, like do some technical audits, like especially if you haven't done one in a really long time. Do another one once a year if it makes you feel any better and you just want to feel good.
Yeah.
But you probably don't need to.
I think the last one, which was pretty interesting, is collaborate for backlinking once your content it gets really good.
Yeah, so this is very much linked to our next tactic, which we'll talk about in a second. But the backlinking stuff, it's like people say to me, "Oh, what about backlinking?" And recently sent me
this was a topic. Yeah, this was a topic with us, right?
And you can go back. I don't know if it's episode 163 or 62, where we spoke about the Google warehouse data leak, where they leaked a lot of their factors in the algorithm. And backlinking is still important.
Yeah,
right. It's still important. What's not going to work if you're going to pay some crappy outsourced agency just to build you links?
Yeah, for
no reason. What's a better use? And this is the thing. It's no one wants to do it because it takes time. Once you get really good at content, right, and you've built your own, like it looks decent, right? It doesn't even have to be great, right? Like it just looks decent.
Yeah.
Like you could your blog or your learning center is built to a level where you could go out. So say for example, like we're landscapers, right? We're landscapers and we want to partner with Kennard's Hire, ex-client of ours. I might go to, and I've been landscaping for years. I've been doing content for years,
it's it's valuable content that maybe Kennard's Hire people might also value out of as well, right? And they're like, okay, cool.
Just to make it easy for people, I've been doing it for about a year. And I've been doing consistently, maybe a blog a week or something.
Yeah.
And the content's good now, right? I built that muscle. Now I can go to a Kennard's Hire and say like, hey guys, and it's not positioned as backlinking. Let's do
it's positioned as collaboration.
Let's collaborate. Yeah. Like what I'd love to do, and I'm happy to do this on my time, my dime. I'm a landscaper. I'd love to get some of your products for free and do some content on my website. And if you'd love to, I'm happy to donate some of my time and we can do something similar on your website. I didn't even say the B word once.
B word, exactly.
But there's going to be a backlink there. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? So like
relationship based, right? I help you, help me. Let's work on it together without it feeling awkward.
Exactly. One of our clients, probably one of our greatest, they ask you into case studies. This number is so high that even I think it's fake. Right, but we've got the data on this. I check it almost every time. 500x their traffic. Yeah. They organic. I think they used to have like 10-20 visitors per month. In less than a year. Organic.
Yeah.
In less than a year, organic is like 4,000-5,000. And they get backlinks now, but they didn't pay for it. They were doing the thing. Like they were doing the articles. It got really, really good. I've literally seen, and you can find on YouTube, where vloggers who are trying to make a name in the space of solar are now referencing their articles. And
that's free. That's free.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's that.
Good
I
content.
probably kind of jumped into some of the next one.
I think you did.
But content marketing.
So
is the next
content
one.
marketing, right? So time to results. Sales is 2 to 3 months. SEO is 6 to 8 months worth of work. So
Yeah,
good
we'll
content.
stop there for a moment. So on the sales side, I say 2 to 3 months. It's almost immediate, but this is why I say sales. So we've discussed this on the show. The best place to start with articles isn't trying to get them to rank.
Yeah.
Is to actually have them in the sales process. So if someone asks you about your product or service, if they ask you about the onboarding process, if they ask about something versus something, send them an article, right? And that will generate sales right away. Why I say 2 to 3 months is because what I've noticed, especially if someone doesn't have any coaching or guidance, and you don't necessarily need to, right? You don't necessarily have to pay an agency like us. You could do it yourself. It's a muscle. I was just talking to Tasha earlier today. We're talking about, because we did a podcast together on her show because Linda was sick. And the first time she did a podcast with me, I was like, hi, I'm Tasha. Like, it was so like not her.
Yeah.
Right. And now she's amazing. It takes time.
Repetition, right?
So the only reason why I say 2 to 3 months, Semi, to get results is because your first few stuff isn't going to be that great and you're just going to get better at it.
Yeah.
But then within 2 to 3 months, you'll be making sales from it, using it with the sales team.
And it's interesting because, like, it just came to my mind. If you were to write it and share it with someone, and you do see results from it, that then also validates your content quality getting better, right? So if you share it with people for sales and you make a sale out of it, you're like, okay, cool. That needs an update, or that can get better. And as you go, it gets more and more better.
Yeah, and not to go over too quickly. When you said the SEO thing, we said 6 to 8 months.
That's related to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the content, it will do the SEO job as well. If you're doing at least 2 to 3 articles per week, you do need that volume. That's what Google likes. If you're doing 2 to 3 articles per week, it will take you 6 to 8 months to get results. And that's what we saw with Penrith Solar.
Mind you, that's minimum 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 articles.
Minimum 2 to 3 articles per week.
Yeah.
And you'll see amazing results from an SEO and ranking perspective. If you don't believe us, just Google anything HubSpot Australia. Red Panda's going to come up.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we do.
Interesting, right?
You know what I mean? So the proof is in the pudding. It works.
Yeah. And key considerations, you do need a framework for your writing content. So you can't just write a content and just have a structure.
See, they
around
ask you answer, right? That's what that means. Like,
exactly.
They ask you answer. What you need a framework, because the framework gives you direction.
You need volume and you need dedicated resource to make sure that you spend the money on a person writing the content rather than SEO agency.
Yeah, the volume. It's interesting because I used to say, and I changed that. I used to say like a full time. Now I just say dedicated, because AI, and it's not being offered right now. We have an AI cohort running where we have a class running right now where we teach them to use AI to create revenue generating content. When that opens up again, we'll share it on the show as well. But with AI now, like, you don't need a full timer now. Or if you have a full timer, they can do other things as well.
As long as they know how to use AI effectively to be able to produce good quality content, right?
Yeah, get educated.
Absolutely. Paid media, Google. So this time to result, 2 to 4 weeks. Key considerations, so like a month, right? Key considerations. Be careful of doing too hard, too broad.
Be careful of going too broad. So
what's that about?
So time to results, we say 2 to 4 weeks because now I'm talking about just Google. We split it up into Google and something else, right? Social. So Google, we're talking just about search. Search, reactive search. 2 to 4 weeks. You can start getting results in 2 to 4 weeks. Obviously, your CPA will, the longer where any agency or any professional is able to work with an account, the results will get better. But that's when you should see. You can see results day one. Like, you spend the money, you see, if you're tracking.
It's in versus out.
Now, just some key tips here. We could do a whole show on this, but just some key tips. Be careful of going too broad. So, for example, MSPs. We do some work with MSPs, managed service providers in the IT space. If you bid for that word, last time I checked, that word was about $20 a click. Right?
Too expensive.
It's going to be very hard, right? You're probably going to get students and competitors clicking on it. You go narrow, right? Go narrow first, like solve narrow first, and then you can start cascading off that. So, for example, internal IT versus managed service providers. That's actually a term. It comes up. That cost per click is really low. Another one is Essential 8 cybersecurity. I know what that is because we got hacked early in the year and then we ramped up our security. I know what that means now. But yeah, so Essential 8 cybersecurity. This is a term that it's not as broad. And by the way, I did research on this term. There's 390 searches in Australia
Yep.
per month, which is decent. It's okay for a niche, right? I'm talking about a niche.
Yep,
number.
yep.
The cost per click is $3.99
cents.
compared to $20.
Yeah.
So I can do 4 or 5 of these clicks,
before
and arguably someone is more intent led.
inclined to
Because I've
purchase from
searched
that.
best cyber. That's the term, guys. Best cybersecurity company cost you $3.99 in Australia. Someone is far more like we were. I'm looking for that. I'm educated. I know what I'm looking for, as opposed to MSP, right? So that's that. And the final thing on that is make sure the ad groups you create are thematically relevant. Again, we're not trying to. If I was trying to do an AdWords masterclass, I'd probably bring in a paid media guys. But if you've got like 100 keywords, get them all thematically relevant. So the cybersecurity ones, put that in the ad group, just like buckets, right?
Yeah.
That's in that bucket. The penetration testing, those type of words put in that bucket. And then you target those tightly grouped AdWords to landing pages. The landing pages should be, it's like monkey see, monkey get, right? This is what you typed for. This is what you get. I'm not going to send everyone to the homepage or everyone to one landing page, make them thematically relevant. And that obviously talks to the landing page as well.
Yeah. So paid media social now. So time to results is 2 to 3 months. And what are some key considerations?
Yeah, so this one will sound familiar to you, Sam, because we were doing a strategy the other day, which we won't share yet. It's an outbound strategy. We'll get some results and share them with our listeners then. But the thing that I was sharing with you was, as a strategist, so many of my team members come to me and like so many clients, and I always say you have to ask yourself 2 questions.
Yeah.
This is how sort of really, strategy is really about choices. What choices do you make and what do you say yes to and what do you say no to? In summary, that's what strategy is. And I say, okay, if you want to do a landing page, an ad, this we're talking about paid social out right now, right? It applies to that as well. Ask yourself 2 questions. Ask yourself, who is it for? Right? So who's the persona?
Yep.
Is it a mum, dad? Is it an operations manager? Is it a marketing manager, household, whatever, right? Who is it for, the thing that you're doing? And what do they care about? Recently, because we've been really getting to Alex Hormozi's stuff, I've added like a 2B now. So like what they care about might be 2A. 2B is like the problems you're solving.
Yeah.
With paid social, this is really, really important. Russell Brunson talks about the fact that if you're just giving an improvement offer, it's like selling a vitamin. It's like, whatever. How many times take you? I've never finished a vitamin bottle.
I haven't as well.
I've thrown out, like they get expired by the time I use them.
And you find another problem because you're facing that and you go get another vitamin.
But if it's
for
a painkiller,
right?
I'm taking that. There is no Nurofen or painkillers in my house because I bought them when I needed them and they were done.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize that. But when you said it makes sense.
Look in your own cabinet, right? So he talks about don't just sell an improvement offer. Sell a new opportunity. How can you, and doesn't matter what you're selling, like doesn't matter like in the most established category, make it as a new thing. There's a way to position it as a new thing. And the only way to do that, the best way to do that rather, is have ads that talk to problems, right? Today's not about talking about hooks. We've spoken about that in the past, but like, okay, do you have this problem? This is the solution. This is how we've solved it.
And then that will then give you results within paid media
paid
social.
This is what we're talking about, paid social, as opposed to we do this.
Yeah,
thing.
we do this. Yeah,
you'll get someone
or
right?
book a meeting.
You get someone, but you're not going to cut through to problems that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to relate, right? And social is about relatability. So social media marketing, time to results. So what's the difference between paid media social media marketing?
Good question. So I'm classifying that as organic. Community building an audience, Instagram following, whatever. Yeah.
Cool. So time to results, 6 to 12 months. That's a way longer time period for that.
Yeah, minimum 6 to 12 months. So I remember when I did it in TikTok, it probably took me 3, 4, 5 months, but I got in at a decent time. The key thing though, the key considerations, it's a lot of content.
Yeah.
A lot of content. So one of the friends of our show and formerly at AM Visuals, Jay, right? He runs a watch business.
Yeah.
And, he's done a really great job. And I think he's close to 10,000 followers now, right? He's close to 10,000 followers now. And he's probably only been doing it for, how long has he been doing it for? Half a year. There you go. 6 months.
That validates it.
Right. Like close to 6 months. Yeah. He's putting out a lot of volume. a lot. He's putting out a lot of videos. He's got like and the AM team do the videos too, right? They're like video diaries and things like he's putting out a lot of content. So the volume he's putting like daily something's going out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about numbers here. Gary Vee would say like 4 or 5 bits of content. He's probably right, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But multiple times per day, at least daily, you're putting out content. 2 times per day. There we go. Just got a note. 2 times per day is going out for him to do that. This is on Instagram in 2024, where Instagram is supposed to be
too hard to get in.
Too hard to get in.
Yeah.
You can do it, right? So a lot of content, a lot of experimentation, and funnily enough, you get that from the content. So I say that quantity is more important than quality. Swear to God. And the reason for that, and I'll die on that hill, is because the quantity will breed the quality.
Absolutely.
You're going to make experiments really, really, really quickly and figure out, okay, this is the stuff I can make more quality on.
See what works. See what's tested out.
And the final thing there, I'd be focused on a channel at a time. Every channel is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so you can do it in 6 to 12 months.
But I guess it's like pick the channel that's more relevant to your business rather than, okay, let me put everything out there, right? Email marketing, time to results.
Yeah, time to results. This is an interesting one, to be honest, because this one's a very hard one to put time to results, because your thing here is the database, like how long it's going to take you to build a database. And there are a lot of the tactics we spoke, like the next tactic we'll talk about soon, webinars and stuff, events, those things, they can help you build your database. So the biggest thing really here is building the database and practice getting good at copywriting. It's hard for me to say, because if you've got 0, then you've got to build the database.
Yeah.
So like if we're just talking about email marketing, sending direct response emails, like not newsletters per se, but you're sending emails. Once you actually have a database, it probably will take a consistent, intentional effort of about 3 months as well.
Yeah. It's interesting because like Alex Hormozi talks about he mentioned something very similar to that, which is your database is like your email marketing, like emails database is like a 401k. It's like your, super fund. Right, you accumulate the numbers, and then when you need it, you'll be able to touch base with it. So it's really important to start collecting them.
The key
doesn't matter
thing
how small or now.
To use the database, a lot of people, and like we've got a lot of clients on HubSpot, they don't hit their database enough. A database will have natural attrition of 30% per year. So 30% of those emails will die.
Yeah,
so you're sitting there as an asset, but you're not doing anything with them. And you're worried about getting people marking you as spam. Who cares? Let them mark you as spam. You have to have to practice the emailing to get good at it. And that might take you 3 months, it might take you about a year.
Now you can probably batch it too, right?
Yeah. And then at the same time, you have to be getting more emails into the filter as well, which a lot of the tactics we're talking about today will hit that.
Yeah. Key considerations. So copywriting is important, right?
Invest in copywriting.
Direct response. Yep. Cool. Let's jump into webinars. Time to results, 3 to 4 months. And key considerations, patience.
Patience and practice.
So
3 to 4 months, I say that, and I'm basing that off of our own experience. A couple of years ago, we started getting into webinars, and what I found was when we started having a habit, that it started working.
Yeah,
it's like anything. To be honest, everything else under the sun, email marketing, like paid ads, doing jiu-jitsu, everything. If you're not chaining it, you're not going to get good at it. Same exact effing thing here. Same thing. So I noticed like the 3rd one, the 4th one, the 5th one, the same people started coming to them as well. It started building a tiny community, and we started just getting good at it. So I would say with webinars, the biggest mistake you could do is do it once or twice and give up. That's the biggest mistake you could make.
Do people get bored of them?
If it's a shit webinar, yeah. We're still doing it in 2024. We made $10,000 of our last webinars. Like, I'm not gonna accept that. If it's a shit webinar, yeah, people are getting sick of them. So I guess it has to be really good.
It needs to be compelling,
and that's why we say practice as well. So it does work. It works definitely in the APAC market, definitely in the Australian, Pacific, New Zealand market. It's working.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's funny. I had that question too because we smashed it a few years ago. Last year, we took our foot off the gas because we invested in events instead. And we brought it back up this year, and it was better than it was 2 years ago. Better.
Yeah, interesting. Because I think people do want to go and learn something because there's so much. They're open to learning more, right? They've got so much content available now.
It has to be, again, same thing as with paid social ads, linked to a problem. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Yeah. Make sure they have actionable items. And The practice one's a hard one. It takes time. I've been presenting now for 18 years of my life. I've gotten pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
And I still make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So I have to keep practicing. So practicing like engaging with your audience and, you know, like looking at your metrics and numbers. Like we know it's a good webinar if we had like, and by the way, last webinar we had like, we're not talking hundreds and thousands. We're pretty humble numbers. Like we had 50 people in the last one and we still made 10 grand out of it. We had 50 people in the start. By the end, there was like 47 people.
No, I think it was 100. And then we had, about 89, I think 2 people.
That was registered.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm talking about the show, right?
Yeah.
So the registered to show rate, I like to aim for about 50%.
50%.
And then the show rate, we had like, 50 people, whatever it was. At the end, it was about 47. Only 2 people dropped off when we dropped the offer, what we're trying to sell, which is really cool.
And it's interesting. People do expect the offer, right? So...
Yeah, and the other mistake, so we doubled our conversion rate from I'll just share a quick lesson from our webinars, from the last one to the second last one. The second last one, I was like, we'll give them 2-3 options. And then I read Russell Brunson's book, is like, give them one offer. So I made that little tweak. We added storytelling and we doubled the conversion rate.
Yeah.
We had actually less people attend.
Cool. Email outreach. So time to results, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, this one, this is something that we're not going to talk a lot about today, but it's on the list because it needs to be on the list.
Yeah.
We want to share some results, like, stuff
that
we have more data on,
Yeah.
But from what a lot of our clients have done, from what I've seen, and to be honest, we haven't done a lot of this, to be honest, like to date. But for what we've seen and what we know, it takes 2 to 3 months to get your messaging right.
Yep.
And the key consideration here, you need a lot of volume. This is a big one. Focus on segmentation.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like if you're selling accounting software, you could try to smash people. And I do. I get so many accounting people reaching me out right now. Maybe because like CEO title or whatever. But like if it was accounting for marketing agencies who work on retainers and in their emails, like I'll take you from 15 to 20% profitability. I'm like, okay, you've piqued my interest. Right? So that's an example of segmentation.
Interesting for you and I to have a conversation.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. I'm like, it's probably going to try to sell me something, but he's piqued my interest, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
20%. Good money. Yeah.
That's the key thing.
So I don't know if any accountants are hearing that, maybe you can
don't leave me alone. I'm very happy with my accountant. But I wish you the very best.
Send an email to Moby. Okay, cool. Events. Time to result is 12 to 18 months. Is that because there's a lot of follow-up and stuff that needs to happen post an event?
Yeah, 12 to 18 months of doing it consistently, I think. You'll never crack your first event. You might, but even if you crack it, you're going to get better at it the next time.
Yeah.
It's a big, big investment. We spent, I think we did a show on this and I can't remember the number now, but we spent 60 grand, 70 grand,
I think
whatever it was. And to be honest, like, has it been profitable? I think it's been okay. I think it's been all right. It probably broke even, but per capita or dollar for dollar, webinars have been better for us.
Yeah.
But it does take time. You do need a dedicated person who works on it and that can juggle that between their role, or maybe that's their full-time role. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're looking at like 12, 18 months minimum.
High effort.
High effort.
High reward.
High effort, moderate level of reward. I love it. I'm talking to someone right now. They want us to help them with their event marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just tapering the expectations. I'm like, look, the first time, it's going to take you time to really, smash this thing.
UX and CRO, time to results 3 months.
Yes. So this is, it's always about what problem are you trying to solve? Like if someone wants to, it's funny, actually no one actually approaches us for
website design.
Oh no, they do, but not, sometimes they like website design, but they have another problem. You know, It's a different problem. That's a common one. And we don't do websites now anyway. But with this, it's no one's ever actually come up to me and said, I have a UX or CRO problem. They'll be like, they're like website design or I need SEO. But when we look into it, like, dude, like this happened to one of our clients actually, I remember a couple of years ago. They had over 10,000 visitors per month, which was really high for their niche. And I'm like, with all due respect, you have no SEO problem. Like your conversion rate is abysmal. It's less than 1%. Right? So we put a quiz, we put a calculator on there, we put a quiz on their self-selection tool to
Increase the engagement.
Yeah, stop the bounce rate and get people to kind of like self-qualify, and that just skyrocketed their conversion rate.
Yeah.
So the thing there is, like, I say 3 months because if you do it properly, you should do heat mapping at least for a month, and then off of that you can draw some. You can use Hotjar or Crazy Egg. There's a whole bunch out there. Have at least a month of data. Pay for the tool just for a month or two, and then you can draw some conclusions from the data. The key consideration here is, again, depending on your niche, but I find the best results if you have at least 5,000 visitors per month, if not 10,000 visitors per month.
But in saying that too, there's always templates and stuff ready to go anyway, right? Like, so from like website perspective,
Yeah. I mean, it's more around it's more around getting the data and drawing conclusions off of that.
Yeah.
And having at least the volume to be able to do something with your conversion rate. Which, by the way, if it's less than 2 to 3%, then, or if 2 to 3 is the average. So firstly, no one wants to be average, especially if you're listening to a podcast like this. Secondly,
you need at least 20%.
Yeah, if it's lower than that, then you should work to 2 to 3. If it's 2 to 3, you're just average, and you can do better than that for sure.
Absolutely, and I think that is the end of our podcast.
That's it. It's a big show today. Good one, Semi.
Yeah, it is a big show today.
Yeah. We'll join you again, guys, for another episode of Inbound Buzz.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.